some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Emobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Yari yari, Oba Tope!
The Oba of Benin added a colorful mood to the year's celebration as he walks round the city center amidst cheers.
ITV, certainly the best.
Nicholas Olukope.
The Ugewe is the final ceremony of the series of festivals. It is one of peace and lightheartedness, following the more solemn of the ritual year. Ugewe is the festival of the Ewe leaves, a symbol of good luck and joy. It is the most popular of all that heralds the dawn of a Benin New Year, new vow, newness of life and freshness of life, and a new hope for the future. In the evening, the Ewe leaves are presented to the Oba of Benin in grand style in a colorful ceremony. The Ihogbe society, amidst singing and dancing, bring the sacred leaves that symbolize good luck, blessings, peace, and prosperity. Each of the senior members of the Ihogbe proceeds to give the sacred leaves directly to the Oba of Benin, and others put theirs at his feet.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
All right, it is a very good afternoon to you, and thanks for joining us on the program African Discourse, Monday's edition of the program. The program comes every Monday, as a matter of fact, so you're welcome on board. Well, if you were with us last week on Monday, we saw some of the major elections that are going to be taking place in Africa in this year, 2026. And of course, we did say that Uganda is going to be the first election, and that was slated for on the 15th of January 2026, and that's only about 4 days ago. And the election has been done, it has been held, and a winner has been declared. As we speak now, the Ikubenta president of Uganda, Museveni Yoweri, has won. And of course, he has won this time for the 7th term as the president of Uganda. So that's what we're going to be talking about basically today on the program African Discourse. So this term that he has won now, what does it portend for an average Uganda And of course, what is the implication of his 7th term in office as the president of Uganda? Well, to discuss all this today, we are so privileged to have a man that I've been fighting tooth and nail. I've been looking forward to see how I will bring him one day on this program, and eventually I caught him. I'm talking about my lecturer, lecturer those days at the University of Benin here in Benin City, Dr. Felix Osarime. Sir, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
How are you? Yes, at home. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the program.
Okay. Now you see this young man lecture this old man at those days in school, but you see us now, you think more older. That's just the way. Now, Dr. Osarime, I don't know what you've been doing to yourself. You look young every day. I don't know what's the secret.
Well, there's no secret. You don't have to look like your problems, and Nigeria tones you to be what you have to be.
Okay, you're welcome to the program,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Dr. Felix Osarime lectures at the Department of History, University of Benin in Benin City. All right, so we're going to be looking at Uganda election. Museveni Yoweri, one character that has taken a charge in African politics. And I don't know, when we talk about the likes of Paul Biya, the oldest president on earth, and of course we also talk about Yoweri Museveni, one of the oldest presidents on earth. These guys are found in Africa, and little wonder what is really happening in African politics. Now, Dr. Osarime, as we look at the election that happened on Thursday, what would you have to say about the election generally? Let's start from there before we look at all the things that happened. Maybe the build up to the election, and even during the election and after the post-election situation.
The situation in Uganda, it's something that is almost normal in some African countries. The gradual transition to democracy in Africa, I'm using the word gradual transition because that is the way it is in some of these countries. It's not the Western model that we know that there's periodic election, you serve a term or two and you bow out. So we should be a bit circumspect not to use that model designed by the American president in the person of Abraham Lincoln, who said democracy is the rule of the people, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. When he said that in the Gettysburg Address then, he was referring to a situation that was developing. But what we have here in Africa and in Uganda in particular is a different situation. And if you permit me to take it back a bit to history, it will give a better picture so that every other person following this program will understand and be able to come to terms with the reality that is existing in Uganda. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is 81 years old now, and he's been in office since 1986 when he overthrew Meeting Obote. So for 4 decades, he's been one man that has been the saddle of governance in Uganda. I would keep that aside. Before he got in, there have been these developments up to the time of Idi Amin, the Idi Amin that was forced out of power, that Obote could come in. So Uganda has not really had a democratic system that we can mention is in the Western model, where you have open elections, you have candidates who are chosen by the majority of people, then you have tenured administrations that will ease out at a particular point in time, and that will be replacing, either from the main or the incumbent side or from the opposition side. So if you take a look at that, therefore, you will understand that Uganda is not an exact Western model type of democracy. It's not different from what we are talking about in Cameroon. And it's not only Cameroon. It's happened in Guinea-Bissau. It's happened in Gabon. It's almost a general trend in Africa. That's why I said it is not an exclusive situation. So we should not take it out of context. That is the brand of democratization that we are having in Africa for now, where you find that someone gets into a position and the person now uses state institutions to ensure that they will remain there for as long as they can hold on to those institutions and control them. Now we have on the other side Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine is just 43 years old.
Yeah.
Bobby Wine was just entering the 4th year in life when Museveni became president in 86. Bobby Wine, therefore, represents a younger generation that is looking at things differently. How? He is talking of a change that people in Uganda are not at home with. He is asking for change, we understand. But the people that are generally the majority do not understand that thing. He is educated, he has a degree, a diploma in arts, he went to music, and his music is a fusion of African, Afrobeat, local Ugandan content, and Western issues. But he said he wants to use music as a medium to express why there must be change, dynamism. The people also would, I believe, love that. But the institutions that are on ground do not necessarily support that. Museveni has been able to build a court of followership around himself. The army that he used to gain power, they are solidly behind him. His family is now holding sensitive positions in government. And he has the elite protective detail in the army that are always with him, that come out when there is dissent. And in all, the standard of living in Uganda has not been very impressive. So, an octogenarian, as Museveni is, will tell you to take things one step at a time. That it represents stability, it represents progress that is gradually coming. And if you look at the new regime that he has just started, this administration, it will be till 2031.
Okay, let me pause you there so that we get our viewers to really stay glued to the program this afternoon. The program is Africa in Discourse, and we are following the Ugandan election, the latest election in the continent of Africa that we had on Thursday, and a winner has been declared. Now, some of the information is that Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has been re-elected to his 7th term. The country's electoral commission has announced, and of course, after a tense campaign marked by an opposition crackdown and internet blackouts, Museveni, 81 years of old, won with 71.65% of the votes, and the commission said on Saturday. Then also too, he defeated his main challenger, 43-year-old Bobby Wine, who received 24.72% of the votes, according to the official result. Museveni's widely expected victory comes after an election campaign that the United Nations said was marred by widespread repression and intimidation, including a crackdown on opposition rallies. Thursday's election also unfolded amid a nationwide internet blackout that drew international criticism. Then also too, Bobby Wine, a singer turned politician whose real name is Robert Kyagulanyi, had claimed on social media on election day that massive ballot stuffing was also taking place. And also the spokesman for his opposition party, the National Unity Platform, told the AFP news agency on Saturday that the results were a sham. Bobby Wine said earlier in the day that he had escaped a police and army raid on his house. Now, we will stop it there. Now, Doctor, as the program progresses, we'll begin to look at all the issues. Now, for a lot of persons, it is somehow difficult for them to understand because you just said something a while ago that this election was largely done by people that desire a change. In other words, the youngsters in Uganda. Now, ordinarily, one would have thought that that would have been the Bobby Wine's generation. But you also said that the institution that is in Uganda largely supports Yoweri Museveni. So this election, was it done in a kind of a controversial situation, in the sense that an old institution, a generation that desire change, and that they could not really effect the change that they needed?
Basically, anybody that is up to Bobby Wine's age has not known any other president apart from Yoweri Museveni. So that would be...
But he desires a change.
I agree. That is when you are talking from the perspective of an educated person who understands why there should be change. Some people can mount the need for change. Doesn't mean they can really take up the gauntlet and agitate for change. That's on the one side. On the second side, Bobby Wine comes himself the ghetto president. Looking at the area in Kampala where he grew up, it was not really easy for them as the son of a nurse who was struggling to give him a livelihood. His grandfather was also in the trenches at the same time with Yoweri Museveni, though in a different camp. You know, there were groups that came against Obote, and it was the group that was led by Yoweri Museveni that came out to be able to hold on to power in Kampala. Yoweri Museveni's National Reform Movement, this party, holds on to power. But what we find difficult is to say one thing and do another thing. A lot of people really don't come out to vote. How many millions came out to vote? 11 million in this election in Uganda. Of the registered voters, 11 million. And this is the challenge. People can say they want change. Do they really go out to effect change? I'm not going to sit here and speak for Yoweri Museveni, but the pragmatics here is that the optics looks like they want change. Do they go all out? We are hearing claims now of ballot stuffing.
Yeah.
We are hearing claims of voter intimidation.
Yeah.
We are hearing claims of internet blackout was already carried out 2 days before the election.
We're going to be talking about that. Now, that internet blackout seems to be a major problem. Is that a new dynamics that seems to be creeping into African politics? Now, I don't want to make recourse to what happened in Nigeria, how INEC promised that election results were going to be transmitted in real time.
Yes.
At the nick of transferring the election results, it was a different story entirely. Continue with your last point.
See, this is where technology that would have been deployed to help give transparency and accountability to a process has been withdrawn at the last minute. So that already sends a wrong signal that something is in the wings. Okay, the Electoral Commission has announced now that Yoweri Museveni got more than 70% of total votes cast. Bobby Wine's rating has even dropped to less than 24% of total votes cast. And there were 8 candidates in this election. But it is actually 2 that are in the issue. Bobby Wine and Museveni. Yeah. Because Bobby Wine represents that consistency. He is young. People will say, oh, why are you struggling so much? Why don't you allow this old man to leave his time out? That is not the situation. In governance, it is not about the person, it's about the institution. And now the institutions have been held hostage by the person. And this person has formed, I use the word, a personality cult around himself. So himself and his cohorts, his lieutenants, they are holding the country by the jugular. That is the challenge. So even if people are shouting, it will not be easy for them to unseat a man who has everything on his side. So it's an uphill battle for the populace. And this is where education plays a crucial role. Now, if education is popular and well developed, then people will now become enlightened. It is not to read and write that is the issue here. They can read and write. Can they actually ask themselves the critical question, why should we allow this man to be here? Because Museveni himself started by saying earlier on that C-type rulers are not good for Africa. Museveni himself later came out to say that in Uganda there's something like 10 presidency. He is the one saying both because he has now entrenched himself, and he, as much as he remains the de facto and the jure authority, that is what we apply. So it is him as a person, his supporters, his cohorts that are now dictating, not the people. So power is with him, resides with him. Legitimacy is not the issue for him. But they find a way to make it legitimate. That's why they do periodic elections. A constitution could have been written to say, this is your term. But he also altered the constitution.
Yeah, he altered the constitution. That is the point I'm making. And that will make me to ask the next question now. Because Museveni probably had all the ways cleared out for him. I mean, he altered the constitution that the issue of age will not be a barrier for him. And of course, that the issue of no matter the number of times is going to be in election will not be an age a barrier for him. Now, Against that backdrop now, what do you make of the fact that this old generation in politics, they keep on, having a constitution to suit their whims and caprices in African politics?
To advocate certain perspectives in a live program like this may not be acceptable to the controlling entities that regulate broadcasts, but we are enabled under certain conditions.
If you have evidence to back up your claim,
no, it's not evidence, it's factual. You have raised the questions, and the questions are actually pragmatic questions, and they're also before us. A man has been there from 1986. Now, he has been able to ask the Constitutional Court and the constitutional framers of the Constitution in their assembly to effect changes that are beneficial to him as a person. Is it that Bobby Wine is not qualified? He is qualified. Yeah. A lot of people also want him. But the question is, what is the standard of democracy? Standard of democracy is to go through periodic elections. That's one of the determinants of democracy. Then you must have a political party, which exists here. The other issues are now being adjusted to suit interests. And these are the interests that are not determining what is playing out. Yoweri Museveni, since the law says he can contest, he can contest. He has taken care of the legal side. That's why I said the jury. Yeah. He has taken care of that legal side. Now, in as much as he can still stand and pronounce his name and thumbprint a ballot paper, he is a candidate. That is what he has also done. The court has not interpreted that he is not competent. His sanity is not in question. His health is not a challenge. Even though at his age, during the campaign, he started withdrawing from some of the noted areas that he initially planned to. They said he had a state-based duties that prevented him. So he has been there for 40 years and counting. So those who are even living in Uganda now, particularly the age range of Bobby Wine, who is agitating for that reversal of the process to give a more robust and more open process where you can ask questions and you can get responses. Because right now what they are having is what is being fed to them. A paternalistic model is what he has created. And the old guards that came into power with Museveni, they are very comfortable with him. They have been able to cover the field effectively, hold on to the key sectors of government and the economy, and feed the populace with the kind of narratives that will keep them very calm. Even though there are times there are protests, but the kind of strong arm tactics they use will even make it possible for people, unless those people are willing to die for what they believe in. And this is where the challenge comes. Democracy is usually seen in Africa as a given. It is not.
Okay.
Democracy comes.
Let me pause because we have to take this break now. The program is still African Discourse, and our focus today is the Uganda's election that has been conducted and has been won by Yoweri Museveni. Now, our guest today is a lecturer with the Department of History here in University of Benin, Dr. Felix Osarieme. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Emobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Yari yari, Ọba Tope.
All right, thank you one more time. The program is still on your television, Independent TV, and we are talking about the election in Uganda, the one that was done on Thursday. Results has since been announced, and Yoweri Museveni has been declared the winner of the election. And our guest today is Dr. Felix Osarieme from the Department of History, University of Benin here in Benin. Now, sir, let's talk about the happenings before the election. We saw a couple of how according to Bobby Wines, that most of his rallies were disturbed. He was not allowed to do election rallies and election campaigns and all that. Then also we also read that he was arrested, and all that. Now, what do you make of all this against the backdrop that after all this, we still have a situation whereby some observers have said that the election was generally peaceful. Now, I'm going to read out something to you that our former President Goodluck Jonathan said, because he was one of the observers. Now, Jonathan told reporters the internet shutdown disrupted effective observation of last week's votes and increased suspicion of the election, but that the overall conduct of the poll on election day was peaceful. So that seems to be a general assertion by most observers that the election was generally peaceful. So perhaps they are making recourse to pre-election, during election, and after election. But away from that, let's go back to pre-election. Happenings, the rallies that were disturbed, Bobby Wine's rallies and his arrest and all that. What do you make of that?
Bobby Wine's matter is as straightforward as day is different from night. First, it represents a vocal opposition. It represents the youthful exuberance that demands urgent change. We cannot run away from those realities. And I want to commend him because he has not given up, even though he's in hiding right now. And this is not his first shot at the presidency. He went against the same Museveni in the last run, and he lost. He dusted himself, came out. I don't know if you saw the video where he was physically manhandled in the runoff to the last election, not this January 15th, the one that took place. Yes, he was. Himself and the wife, they were manhandled. He has been shot at during the rally. And the claim that is used against him is even the claim of the government that his rallies are violent, that it leads to a breakdown of law and order. They blame him. The government spokespersons and the authorities blame Bobby Wine. That whenever he conducts rallies, his rhetoric is insightful. So it incites people against the government. That is what leads to that. And that makes him a person of interest. So they will declare him wanted. At the time he had been arrested, even international music stars had to sign petitions demanding his release before he was set free. So the government now recognizes him as a thorn in their flesh. We cannot run away from these things. But as I said just now, before the short interlude, that we think in Africa to believe that democracy is a given. Oh, democracy is that we'll just come out, we just give it to us, we just go home and sleep. No. There must be agitation for change. And in the process of agitation, there could be collision of interest. There are politics about interest. Politics about who gets what, when, where, and how. Politics is the authoritative allocation of values. So there are different divisions of politics. And politics eventually is about setting up political parties that have an ideology which they present in their manifesto, and the end is to capture state power to actualize that manifesto. So Bobby Wine is outside today. Yoweri is inside. Yoweri Museveni will not just throw power at Bobby Wine. That's why Bobby Wine is agitated for it. There must be some element of collision. Even in sane societies, during campaigns, people protest, people complain. There could be breakdown flow. Possibilities are always there. That's why you bring in security, you apply for license, then everybody is always encouraged. In the United States, during the last campaign for the presidential election, Trump was shot at. He's president today. He almost lost his life, but at least he was winked in the ear.
But we also heard that was also state managed.
Whether it was or not, but Trump was not even in power then. Trump was on the downside at that time. Biden was the incumbent.
Sentiment.
That is part of the narrative we are looking at. So Bobby Wine, if you take that line, it could also be that Bobby Wine is the one staging the crisis to gain legitimacy.
But a while ago, you said that the government has accused him.
The government has accused him repeatedly that he speaks against them, that he incites people against them.
So there's no way can be staging that.
That is the point. Government can also bring in people and cause chaos and accuse him. For that reason, they want to keep him under wraps. So it's a very difficult situation. Right now, let me use it. It's complex. The power agitation on both sides. He wants to come in. The one that is in wants to remain in there. That is the agitation.
Now, yeah, Doctor, what do you make of, because Yoweri Museveni is going to be there for the next 5 years?
Yes, 2031.
2031.
2031.
That's the next 5 years.
Yes.
Now, what do you make of, because we've seen a situation whereby most Ugandans have called for change, just like what you said a while ago. And also to some persons are saying that he's been there responsible for the rapid economic growth and development in Uganda, because it's somehow difficult to marry these two sides of the coin together. Most Ugandans, they want a change. Then others are saying
that there's stability.
You understand?
They don't want a disruption. So they want to eat their cake and have it.
But others are saying that Yoweri has been responsible for rapid growth and development. So how do we marry those two situations together?
Okay, let's take it from the case of Gaddafi in Libya. Gaddafi became head of Libya in 1969, all right, when he removed the monarchy. He was a colonel in the army. Museveni came in as a rebel leader in 86. So if you look at their timeline, they come in as, they now become what we call benevolent dictators. People who want to remain there, but they will do well. When Gaddafi had the uproar that eventually led to his exit from this world, Libyans were not poor. They were not hungry. Their economy was one of the best in Africa. Their Human Development Index was ranked the highest in Africa. But they fought Gaddafi because they asked the same question. You have been there since 1969. Can't someone else also come in? Even though we blame the Western world that they engineered the problems against Gaddafi and the rest, their argument was just this issue. You have been there. Can someone else not come in? That's where Museveni is also facing. But when I started it now, he's been on it for 10 years, 5 years ago and now. So from 2015 till now, 2016, he's been there, and he's been there until 2026. So it is gaining momentum. For 10 years, a young man is demanding the same thing. He's just 30 something.
43.
43.
Yeah.
He started from 30s.
Yeah.
So he has also clinched a decade in the trenches. But down is civilian. Yoweri Museveni came from the military background and civilized himself. Ugandans have not really had any smooth democratic transition. When Idi Amin took power. Idi Amin was forced out of power by using external support from Tanzania under Nyerere. That was all brought to Obote. Obote came back in, sat there, and Obote was eventually unseated by Yoweri Museveni under armed revolt. So they've not really understood what it is to have smooth transition, but they can ask for it. That's why I said their education would have given them the platform to understand what change should be and how to go about it. But so far, they've been experiencing what we call ruptures, not change. And this is the challenge they are going to face. Someone like Bobby Wine, who has now seen the world, that's why they block the internet too. Because when these things are exposed to the world and the world is looking in, you are able to transmit out, there will be greater condemnation, and this will lead to people demanding for greater accountability and transparency.
Now, the internet crackdown, was it a social media as related?
It wasn't social media. Internet is not only social media.
Yeah, because some persons are of the opinion that it was because of the results have to be transmitted. That was why the internet was cracked down and all that. What actually happened?
That was the Nigerian condition. The Nigerian condition was that they said the server had
issues,
glitches, and in technology there could be glitches. We understand that, but that is where you also have a back end, or what we call a safety net. If you have a computer system, you buy UPS, uninterruptible power supply. These days we talk of solar to back up, so that there's seamless use of the system.
No, but it wasn't power now. They said it was the internet, maybe connectivity.
So long as the internet cable that is in the Atlantic was not severed, then what happened was local.
Okay. Now, let us ask the bigger question now, because a lot of persons are beginning to ask the question. I mean, Yoweri Museveni is going to be there till 2031. That's for the next 5 years. Now, what does it portend for the Ugandans? What does it mean for them to have an 81-years-old president, and from now till 5 years' time is going to be 86 years old? So how will he, guarantee, what does it portend for the Ugandans?
If we borrow that cliche that age is nothing but a number, it may be physically very strong, even though his age is actually climbing. He's an octogenarian already. Well, the Bible said 70, that's 70. He is at 81. So he has already reached the biblical age. God has blessed him. Let us get a bit religious. He has gotten to that point where if he exits now, he has made it. But again, he doesn't want to exit. He wants to still be there. Now, he is there. What has he done so far? In the last 40 years, has he been able to do some transformation? Has the economy been in a nosedive, or it is stable and gradually going upline? We can say that to a large extent, Museveni has not, we cannot accuse him of destroying his local economy. He has been able to bring in some stability. And recently, there is this glimmer of hope that just came in. They discovered oil.
In Uganda?
In Uganda. That is the latest booster for him now. He is now saying that he's guaranteed them a better life by the time this tenure will end, at least by 2030, not at this beginning. They have already developed a projection to take crude oil to the port going through Tanzania. They've done it. The project has been concluded. The oil that was found in commercial quantities. So that gives him some boost, because one, we are still using fossil fuels as the major source of energy on a global scale. Whether we are talking of alternative sources or not, the mainstay for the global energy consumption today is still fossil fuel. That's crude oil, and they have it now. They've also been able to do a working plan through a joint venture agreement to take it to the sea through the neighboring country, and they have already concluded that project. So that gives him a very good opportunity. I will use the term, to write his name in gold, cast his identity on stone.
Now,
if he misses it, because this is going to be the problem. If he misses the opportunity, then his reputation, whatever he has done, is going to go down in infamy. But with this opportunity that's coming to bring in huge funds and an improvement in their internally generated revenue, he is assuring Ugandans now of a better life, to move them up to more middle class than they presently are in.
Now, Doc, the fear is external influence because Uganda relatively may have been a peaceful nation. I mean, compared to other nations that is having issues with Western powers and all that. So now that the country has discovered oil, we're going to begin to see a troubled Uganda because of Western influence and interest.
Crude oil does not necessarily represent trouble in any country. It is the management.
Really?
It does not represent oil problem. No, I don't want to sound pessimistic in that regard. There was a document I read one time that the crude oil is the devil's piece, and that anywhere you find it, you find calamity. America is not in calamity. Saudi Arabia is not in calamity. Kuwait is not in calamity. They manage their own very well. Indonesia, they have crude oil. They are not in calamity. All you need is a leadership system that is committed to progress. And this is where the challenge is. If you make it an elitist revenue profile, then you will lose it. But if you make it widespread and convert it to sovereign wealth, that is common wealth, then there will be progress. That is what they have been able to do in the Arab nations. They've been able to transform the entirety of their society because they disburse the wealth into social capital infrastructural development. And that is where some other countries have missed it. If we are talking of Venezuela, was on that track under Hugo Chavez, and they've missed it again. Before Maduro came, Maduro's own was more of power struggle with entities and foreign bodies. In the case of Saddam Hussein, he was doing very well until he decided to point his finger at Kuwait. Iraq was not doing bad. In fact, Iraq dealt with Iran in their 10 years war. Iran and Iraq are both oil-producing countries. But Iraq got the upper hand because they developed, they said, for anybody that cares to know, the Iranians were even doing very well by their own opportunity and with American support before they fell out with America. So they are still not doing badly. Now, the crude oil, if the wealth is kept for the elite, that is where it becomes a problem because there will be permanent internal contention. If Uganda, as I must say this too, as Yoweri has been able to stabilize governance to a large extent, yes, because there have been mild disruptions. I think we've not heard of continuous attempt to unseat him.
No attempted coup. No
yes,
protest.
It's not serious.
Yeah.
It's not critical. So that level of that's what he is also using to canvass that people should enjoy the fact that there is a stable government, there is relative peace, there is calm, that they should grow with the process.
Okay.
But when he's talking of, no, you have stayed there too long, let us have a fresh breath. If the crude oil that they have now been able to develop the properties around it on commercial scale gives them that inflow of funds, let me say I'm hopeful that he will do better.
All right, Doc, now as we wrap up now, I mean, what do you make of international observers? I mean, they come, they observe elections in nations, and no matter what they come up with, it does not have any direct, impact on the results of the election. I mean, like this election we're talking about now. I mean, international observers have said that, okay, the election was peaceful, but there was internet internet crackdown, which is a major aspect of the election that would have further say that the election was actually truthful. So it doesn't have any effect on the result of the election. What do you make of it? Quickly.
All right, quickly, we must say that sovereign states are very powerful. And when a state is doing anything, it will be difficult for any observer that is not a state and is no more powerful to dictate to a state that is very powerful.
What is the essence of the observation?
No, it is still part of the challenge that must be done. Anyway, let's quickly cut to the bone. These observers, did they go to the rural areas?
Okay.
Where they will be taken to the urban centers where they can see a semblance of stability, and most of the time they will be taken to the areas where whoever calls the shot, the incumbent, will have the upper hand. So they will see what they are made to see.
And they make the observations.
Yes, but you cannot observe otherwise, because if they now speak against the government of the day, in some cases, they will be seen as interlopers who try to destabilize a peaceful state.
Situation.
So that is not the ability to give a report, a fair report. And that is why most times you find that international observers will tell you that based on what we observed, they didn't say based on everything that happened, because they could have been everywhere at the same time.
All right, now, Dr. Felix Osarime, I must say, it's like the way you were taking us through History 101 those days in class. Thank you so much. I mean, you explained the topic and the situation in Uganda just as if you're lecturing in the class. I really enjoyed
Thank you very much.
Your conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me in the program.
And I do hope when we invite you again, you'll make it.
As time will permit.
All right.
And viewers at home, thank you for staying and listening to us.
Okay, Dr. Felix Osarime, the lecturer with the Department of History, University of Benin, and at one time a lecturer of this old man, you know, talking to you on television right away. All right, so my name is Evan Sudokuge. This is where we end the program today, and until same time next week with another edition, another topic, and another set of guests. Goodbye, and God bless you.
This is ITV.